October 2007, Reverend Butts and pastors throughout this great country came together when Debbie House Frazier called them and said, we ought to do something about this horrible disease that's striking us. It was an amazing day. Politicians, entertainers, clergy, people. And at the conclusion of this, we said, what do we need really to be better organized? Everyone felt in their hearts they wanted to do something, but they didn't know what to do. And so collectively, we got together and said, what was the year that turned us around as a people and as a country? So we went to 1964 and said, our time has really come. The bishop mentioned historic, and that's all I wanted to talk about. There are times in your life, Kennedy gets shot, something happens, you remember the date. I want you to remember October 7th, 2007, and remember March 17th. Because AIDS brings us together, but unity gets us to accomplish things that we shouldn't have to fight for in this country. And we got a president, Imam, that we don't have to go back to slavery and start all over and talk about the disadvantages and what it has cost us as a people. He knows that. And we meet with him in the Congressional Black Caucus just to remind him that Chicago is all over this country. And the only reason that I'm leaving a little earlier, because you're going to get tired of seeing me today, is because my Ways and Means Committee is working on jobs, 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 jobs. We got to get America back to work. We got to have the dignity, the pride to take care of our families, to be able to get our kids in school. And long-term unemployment, as you know, causes irreparable harm in terms of your mind, your ability to keep up with technology, productivity, and Dr. Maxwell would know that you got to keep going to keep up. You can't just have a lag and think that you can keep up with the things that we're doing today. Now, what are we here for today? We're here today to show you off everything that we've done to make us proud, whether it's voters' rights, civil rights. It has been our churches that have provided the leadership. We all love and know about Dr. King, Reverend Powell, Wyatt T. Walker, John Lewis in our caucus. But how about the ministers we don't know? Wyatt T. Walker, did I mention him? But there's so many ministers that we don't know their names. They went to jail, they fought. But it was the church movement that allowed people to believe that we just weren't helping our neighbors, that we were doing God's work, and that he or she would not let us down as we move forward. What could be more important, except to get into heaven, than to delay the time you arrive by good health? You know? And throughout the Bible, there are just so many stories about good Samaritans and less of my brothers and sisters, and the Quran. It all means that we need each other. We have to take care of each other. And when the president talks about universal coverage, all it means is that if all of us are covered, I pay less. I pay less. As an old man, I pay less because we got young people here. They're not going to get sick. I'll be the one using up the doctors. And when you're lucky enough to get old, then you'll be the beneficiary. But everyone has to be there. And we have to make certain that you're entitled, not insurance companies. That you are the ones that if you have a precondition, you need the hospital care and the health care more than anybody else. So insurance companies can't pick and choose you too sick, you too old, and that you're too much at risk. And this president, what he's saying is that first we got to educate our people. Abyssinia certainly has provided leadership in saying that it ain't just the public schools, it's not just the churches. You have a better citizen, a more productive citizen. It keeps marriages together. It allows communities to grow. I mean, having an education and having a job someone was meddling about what I did when I was a kid. Forget that. When I was a kid, I did things as a kid. I went back to school. And school and education is the key. But if you come from a sick family and a sick community and you have AIDS, you can't get that education. You got to be healthy to be able to absorb what they're talking. And so this massive health plan, we are fighting the insurance companies. They get paid billions of dollars for providing less and less care at higher and higher prices. We can get a handle on that. We got to pass this bill. Yes. But one of the things that we ask you to do is that no matter what town you're from, there's going to be a congressman or woman there. No matter if you get tired of me, just ask somebody on my staff, asking me, or ask anybody in the hallways how to get to your member of Congress. And I assure you, and I promise you, that this relationship is going to get you over, not just with health care, not just with AIDS, but a relationship that's going to help you, your church, your community, and I don't care whether they're conservative, liberal, white, black, Republican, or Democrat. Believe me, your member of Congress is going to respond to you and your church. I remember a guy named Stuckey, came from Georgia, at the time that you had to vote by toll. Yes votes here, no votes here, and you had to get up and march and stand in line, and people would lobby you in the line saying you shouldn't be voting yes or no. And Stuckey was a nice guy, but he was voting against the Black Caucus bill. I said, Bill, how could you do that with all the blacks you have there? He says, well, I don't think my district wants this. Well, we in the caucus all the reverends were in different districts, and Pastor Green was from Mount Calvary Baptist Church. I said, Bill, we're in touch with Pastor Green, and I don't think he wants you to vote against this. He said, you know Pastor Green? I said, I don't know Pastor Green, but everybody else knows Pastor Green. He said he helped you get elected. He said, yeah, I couldn't make it without him. I said, well, why don't you give him a ring? He said, you don't need to do that. You didn't explain the bill that way to me before, and I would call Pastor Green and count on the vote. He got in that line with all of us to vote for our bill.